Wow. Welcome to Addiction with OG Los. And I'm your host, OG Los, y'all. And I'm sitting here with a buddy of mine, bro. We go back when the only people existed was troglodyte, Neanderthals, Y'all probably know this cat, because he be on social media frequently, with his podcast, giving y'all some good advice, on how to live, and how we think. Y'all know how we think, and he be giving you some good insight on a lot of things, bro. Y'all know Jessie Cage, man. I know everybody in New Orleans know Jessie Cage, man. This dude is a damn legend. You heard me? What's happening, Jessie?
Yeah, but guess what? I came after you. Now this guy, yeah, this is really my inspiration. I mean, everything that I'm doing now, I'm really modeling off him. Okay, I might just be changing the picture, but not the frame, because he grew into what I have grown into, and he got momentum with it. And the whole while when I was in prison, I used to always just think of this guy here. While I was changing, I understood his growth when he came home and was doing the things that I'm now doing.
You thought about me when your ass broke out of prison too.
Well, see that you said that. Say, I have been somebody that always figures stuff out.
Yeah, yeah, bro. But how you doing, Jesse?
I'm all right,
bro. I'm so glad you're home, bro.
Yeah.
After all that time, you probably done damn near 100 years. You know what I'm saying?
Involuntarily.
Involuntarily.
Yeah.
Jesse. Tell us a little bit about your story, bro. Where you come from. I know you never was addicted to drugs.
I was, but a lot of people just don't remember it.
I don't remember you being addicted to no drugs, but I know you had a lot of other addictions.
Right, I had a whole lot of addiction. But I went through my little pad with drugs and stuff, right? Because I'm out the Calio Project. So,
Go ahead.
during my time, I got on drugs early and I got off drugs early. And the interruption was actually getting in trouble going to prison, right? But when I was young, I had got introduced to heroin, and I started snorting it only because of the fact that, there's no justification for it, but it was like the people that I was running with, they was older than me as a teenager, so when they moved into like heroin, nobody didn't say don't get that little boy now.
Yeah.
And things. So as a result of it, I guess I was just under peer pressure, and I went to snorting heroin, and next thing I know, I thought everybody just was faking, but they had an addiction.
Jesse, didn't you come up in the project?
I come up in the Calio Project.
That's the yo.
That's where I'm
come
from.
Up in the yo, man. And coming up in that yo, did you ever get addicted to heroin, or you just was using it every
Well,
now
and this was the thing about it. I didn't know I was as addicted as bad as I was until I went to jail. Because by me having money, it's like me constantly getting high. It was like I never got to the point where it's like I was sick until I went. So I didn't really think I had a habit until I wound up going to jail. Then I realized it was really a dependency. Because sometimes you get high, and it be enough in your system to the next day when you wake up, you don't feel the symptoms of being, addicted. Yeah.
Yeah, because back then, I stayed high.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't know, I wouldn't have known I was addicted until I came down off it, because I stayed high, bro. Back then I had a lot of money, bro, and I was just getting loaded every day. It wasn't no situation where I wake up sick,
right.
Because I always had some dope, But when I went to jail, like you said, shit, all hell broke loose. You know what I'm saying? But Jesse, you went from the heroin to, did you use any other drugs?
Nah, not really, because I never got into weed. I kind of like relaxed my curiosity about a lot of drugs, and nobody pushed me into it, but sometimes the environment pull you into things, and that's how I was. But I never the only thing and even when I was messing with heroin, I started off with some stuff what they call Chase the Dragon. Right. Yeah,
With the
yeah.
fur thing.
Right,
yeah.
with the little furrow thing and from that, I start snorting it but you cannot justify heroin, right? But during the time when we was coming up, it's like certain drugs it ain't like how we see it today. Because it's like people really wouldn't even know you was on drugs because you dressed, you still like nice things, you like nice cars, so people wouldn't know the extent of your addiction, right? And it wasn't looked at like it is today, where it's like now it's like I don't be knowing what these young cats on now.
The drugs back in the days, bro, and still yet today, drugs is associated with fun
Right.
in the beginning, with them starter drugs,
Right.
But you see, you have fun until you start abusing it. And once you start abusing drugs and you get addicted to the drugs, the fun stop and you start seeing the ugly side of addiction. You know what I'm saying? As you go longer and longer and longer using drugs, you're going to sooner or later become addicted. And you're going to see the ugly side of that motherfucker. You're going to see the ugly side, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But after the drugs, bro, what you did, Jesse? I know you.
Well, actually, I started selling them. I mean, I did more things before I started selling drugs, but I took advantage of the streets the way I knew them, right? And so like a lot of people know me for selling drugs, but like then you know me, I used to sell jewelry.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things before I did. That's why like right now, it's so easy for me to go out right now and make money on the weekends when I'm off, and even like sometimes run a bliss on a crowd, like there might be seafood night somewhere, and because I always been selling, right? I've been in the streets all my life. I tell people when I was 11 years old, right? My mother put me out the house, and I haven't been home since. And people look at me, think that I've been fed with a silver spoon. But I just run into a guy that been knowing me all my life. Just now, I'd seen him at a red light. We pulled over and talked, and he was older than me. And we just was talking about things. I said, boy, you remember I used to be over there by you and Jackie when I was a little boy, right? And it wasn't a thing of like running away from home or anything, because my mama knew I was in the area somewhere. It's just that I didn't come back home.
Jesse, bruh, until I did the interview with our mutual friend,
Right.
I ain't never know you was selling fucking drugs, bro. I always thought you was selling jewelry and maybe a little nickel dime dealer, or something like that. Cause my era was before yours.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, I came before you, and when I met you, you was selling jewelry and stuff. I ain't never know you was hooked up with my man big time like that, boy. Cause you was balling, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Out of control. I ain't know. I ain't never know that about you, man. But tell us a little bit about that.
Well,
And
me
how
and
you
that
got
person,
caught
we
up.
had we had we had a lot of history, right? And what had happened was one time I was in Houston, and I accidentally just run into him, and actually the car he was driving, kind of like, caught my attention, right?
Yeah.
While I'm at the car wash, right? So when he get out, me and him looked at each other, and as a result of it, the name that they called him out there, right? I didn't call him that, and I seen on the
Yeah.
podcast you didn't call him that, right?
No.
And he was with a guy that I subsequently found out was his bodyguard that kind of led to us he wind up ratting on me too when I went to federal prison. But the dude was his bodyguard, right? And he was so fascinated to see me because he was like a schoolboy. Although he was older than me, but he wasn't in the streets. He wound up going to Texas to college and all that, and then got on. And when people used to tell me about it, I didn't associate the name, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I even knew his last name.
Right.
I just only knew his first. And so when he got out, he said, Jesse fucking K. Boy, see this dude here? This was a badass dude, right? When we was coming up, and he just studied, but he said, what you doing? So I tell him I'm at the car. He said, man, come with me. So he wound up putting his car, and we wound up getting in another car, right? And things, and by we had acquaintance, I kind of like, now that I knew who he was, I kind of knew what he was into. So he was out to just show me, right? And So as a result of it, he didn't build a dam, he built the bridge. And shit, and me and him hooked up, and that became my man. And so he didn't need number one person in New Orleans, and I became that man, and a lot of stuff came through me. And a lot of people don't know the extent of what you be doing things, and especially like some people meet you after you kind of like get on your own, and they just see you just in the street, and they don't know the extent of the history that you had with the drug game. Whereas like how you was like selling kilos and all that. So now they just see you moving, and pretty much nobody that you doing things with locally, because the guy that told on me, he was from Alabama. So I was like doing some things with him. So.
And that's how you got caught up. Somebody ratted on both of y'all.
Well, actually, his phone got tapped.
Yeah.
Okay, and 100 keys got popped coming to Louisiana. In some kind of way, they associated me with him because at that time, we was using beepers and phones because it was like in the early 90s. And so it led to my phone getting tapped. And I didn't know it. Probably around the time when I was having jury, because, I was still messing with jury calling you, my phone was tapped. My phone was tapped. They had a pen register on my house. And they had cloned my beeper, because that was old technology. I didn't know that till I got arrested.
And goddamn, if that was in the 80s, they was trying to get me, but they said they couldn't get. I was always a step ahead of them. Now, if your phone was tapped, they must have didn't know it was me. That you was.
Well, let me tell you this here. A lot of times, when you get arrested, a lot of times you get paperwork, and it's be like, they be listening to phone calls, but it don't be drug related or nothing like that, because you get all the lists of stuff that they called. And even after, when I got arrested, right, in 98, some of the people say, man, I said, nah, your phone wasn't tapped. The people just got to notify you that you was on a tapped phone, which happened to be me. See, your phone wasn't tapped, my phone was tapped.
You got arrested in 98?
I got arrested in 98. And then when I got arrested, the only reason why I got arrested, because the investigation would have kept on going, but by 3 keys got knocked in a car that was mine. So I had to be arrested. And I mean, and so other than that, it would have kept on going, because the people that got arrested with me, they wasn't even a part of my investigation. They just happened to just call during the time when my phone.
So your investigation started in the 80s?
My investigation started I think in 94.
Oh, so okay, then yeah. When I was,
with him,
I
with
was,
homeboy, yeah, in 94.
I
You was out.
legit. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
legit.
yeah, you was out. Like when you got arrested, I was like, Carlos out the game.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
wasn't even
Right.
in
You like who I am, the pop-up salesman now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But then in 99, I got a charge,
Right.
from fucking with them little boys.
Right.
In Iberville. And ain't know none of them. But that's a whole nother chapter.
But see, that's how I tell people, right? Like sometimes I'm like, nah, it's still people. Acquaintances live a lifetime, so you're gonna know people, right? So sometimes you still in conversation with people that really don't understand the nuts and bolts of investigation. And sometimes they might say something, and I say less, right? Because I don't really need to hear some of the things that you're talking about, because you don't really understand that investigations start that way. You can say one thing that got multiple interpretation, and now you tied up in it, somebody else. So it's kind of like with you, if your neighbor house on fire, yours in danger.
Yeah.
When you got caught up with that, because when you got arrested in 98, but I broke out of jail.
Yeah.
So I was like on the run. So when you got busted, I was like, Carlos not even doing nothing. I knew for sure you wasn't doing it. Pretty much anybody who was close to you know you wasn't doing it. And if you was, you was playing your hand real close to your chest.
No, I wasn't even in the game. No,
Right.
But that's a long story, you know what I'm saying? But Jessie, when they did come kick your door in, Did they find anything?
No, they didn't find nothing. But what happened was, like I said, I got arrested because of the car that got busted in Lake Charles, right? Remember that white Jag I had?
Yeah.
Well, that's the car that got busted with 3 keys, right? And the phone was tapped on it, right? So as a result of when I got arrested, it was like what they call a pretextual stop, right? So they had simultaneously got, for as like the search warrants the day before, right? To go kick all the doors down at the same time.
At the same time,
Right.
You know they're coming at the
At
same
all 3
time.
of my houses. So, so I wound up getting arrested. So I thought it was like on something else, but it was pretextual that they had already had coordinated how they was going to arrest me. And everybody else just got, look, let me tell you something. I had a guy that went to prison with me, got 10 years, that wasn't even guilty. I'm not saying that he wasn't in the game, but he was just talking to me about some bail money.
Yeah.
I got him out on bail. So he had called me. He said, look, I got $500 for you. And I got some pills and stuff. This white boy gonna pick up them. I'm probably have $300 for you later on.
Got
And
a conspiracy.
right, he wound up getting caught up in the conspiracy with me. You know what I'm saying? And the Colombian, one of the Colombians, I'm glad he got a mistrial, right? Because it all came out that what he was talking about was actually the real thing. He wasn't talking about keys with me, but they just made it like we was talking about that deal,
Yeah.
He told me he was gonna holler at me. I said, around what time? He said 3. So by 3.5 keys got arrested. They said we was talking about that. But it came out that, in trial that's what he wound up getting a mistrial with me,
So how much time you got out of that, Jessie?
Shit, I wound up getting 30. I did 26 on it.
Damn, both of y'all. One did 27, one did 26.
Yeah.
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole lot of times out your life, bro.
Involuntarily, though,
But they couldn't keep you. They couldn't keep you down tight too fucking long, because you sure was a escape fucking artist. You heard me? And I don't know nobody in the city that I come up with, that I was raised with, that I was in jail with, that had the skills that you had, bro. You know what I'm saying? You had some fucking skills, boy. Them people were scared of you.
They did. But I've been breaking out. A lot of people don't know. Ever since a little boy. And people say, how you always break out every jail that you in? I say, when I was a teenager, I used to be a burglar. So the opposite of burglar is escape.
Yeah.
So I had developed that eye for it. And I'm always figuring stuff out. That's why, like right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get rich again legally. Because I got this mind for always trying to figure things out. And I'm getting momentum, you know what I'm saying? It's just that the tools and fuse that you make with the little street sales don't compare to when you was getting thousands of dollars a day.
Well, you're going to figure it out, bro, because you're an intelligent cat, bro. You're an intelligent cat, and you got a lot of street knowledge plus intelligence is going to come to you, I done got so motherfucking old, and I'm still trying to figure it out, how to get rich again. Legit.
You just gotta stay the course. You just gotta stay the course. That's all, bro. It's like everybody that you see rich, meaning I don't know the statistics on Tom Brady, right? Meaning that he probably went to the Super Bowl more than any quarterback. But if you probably look in his background, he probably got sacked more than every quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people only just see the bright light, not all what you have been through. You just gotta just stay the course. It's like right now, I'm kind of like a misfit among a lot of people because of the things that I stay on the grind. I had somebody tell me the other day, say, man, you seem like you drifting. I said, no, I'm driven. I got the heart to try things. You see, because if I believe I can do something and you believe you can't, we both will pass a lie detective test. See, I believe it and you don't. See, and and sometimes you just got to play the part before you become it. So that's where I'm at.
But how long you been home, Jess?
Well, I've been home now 13 months. And a lot of people say, you've been home before that. I said, nah. I went to the federal halfway house. And the day I was about to be released from the halfway house, the state come got me and said that I had a old parole hold that was over 40 years old. So I wound up had to go to Hunts to the DOC, Louisiana Department of Correction, for 6 months. So, meaning I got a break because of the fact that I was in the federal halfway house. So, you have a lot of liberty. So a lot of people see me, right? But everybody know the story that the day that I was getting out the federal halfway house, they came got me. But they told me the day before, when I came in from work, they said, you can't go back out. They say, because the state come and get you.
I could have swore you've been home longer than any 13 months, bro.
Yeah,
Damn.
I came home in February.
Damn.
I came home in February.
Say,
So
bro,
February last year.
That was the last time you used drugs, was back in the days.
Yeah, back in the
When you
days.
was messing with the heroin.
Right.
So you've been clean for 26 years in jail, plus 13 months you've been home, and
Oh, yeah,
some other time in between that when you was fucking with dude in Houston, you wasn't using, right?
Man, let me tell you this here. Drugs, everything illicit, sometimes when you be in prison, you don't know how much you have changed. And now I realize it. I mean in every area. With women's, with everything. You didn't realize you have changed that much until certain things don't even bother you anymore.
Well,
Like
no.
it do.
That's got to be the truth, bro. Because this is the second interview I did today, and you told me you saw me on
Right.
on social media doing the little interview
Right.
with Pastor, right? And Pastor said the exact same thing you just said, bro. He got them 10 years in jail. He got 19 years for attempt murder. But he did 10 on them, 19. But that's when he saw shit that what you just said. When you're in jail, you start seeing different things about yourself. And he said from that point on, that's when he got out of jail and he joined that church that he in now. And in 97. And he been pastoring that same church for 13 years. You know what I'm saying? He said, but it all started in jail.
And see, sometimes it's that interruption, right? I remember when I was in solitary confinement in the feds, I used to be listening to this like NPR and Snap Judgment, right? It was a little program. And I remember listening to a program one night, and they was talking about like North Korea, right?
Yeah.
That, by them being a communist country, right? And, and how people are in camps and all that stuff. And so they got people desire to escape, right? But they can't escape because it's got this body of water that they have like the security. They know you can't get there, kill you in the water, right? Right, kill you in the water trying to get to, the land to go to China and one of the other spots in Asia. But anyway, this is what happened. One winter, the lake froze, okay? So when it froze, now it provided, right? A way out because now I could walk across the ice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes that's what prison do with us. That interruption, right, allows us another pad to go away. And some people don't have it because I see some people that never even been to prison that grew up with me. And I'd be like, and so they kind of like, they didn't have an interruption, So they stayed on drugs and now you look at them, they're our age because I'm 67. And it's still out there. And some people are fools. Some people are repeated fools, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some people in prison
they're
don't
not
do
philosophical enough to even get nothing from their experience. Right. And then sometimes, like even jail, I see people get high, but I don't keep that. I don't hold that against them even in jail. Because one time I remember, when I was in the feds, I was kind of like the shot caller, and a lot of security people call me to talk for people, right? And one of my little homies, shout out to Be Stupid, right? He was getting like little weed stuff, right? But the captain liked him and try to save him as much as he can. And so anyway, the last time the captain told me, I said, well, look, he said, man, I can't save him, bro. I like him, right? So I was trying to explain to him, I said, it's like, like sometimes when you have an operation, the doctor give you anesthesia so you won't feel the pain. He cutting on you. You heard me? But you know the anesthesia, you can't feel him cutting on. So sometimes people go through operations in jail for as just doing the time. So they just find drugs as their way of coping. I'm not saying it's justifiable that you should do it, but I'm just saying that I understand it there. But when you get out and it's a real world, okay, and especially like your reentry, you definitely don't need all this type of stuff in your life. And you need to wake up because now you coming out to a real world that you got to function in.
I promise you, bro, you would have got out that jail that was surrounded by that fucking water without it freezing.
I probably would have been blowing
You'd have
on the
caught a
way.
ride on the shark or something.
I would
You'd have got
have.
out that motherfucker. You
Yeah,
heard?
so it is. But anyway, I told you I got like a mission I got to go do, man. And I'm so glad because me and this brother been supposed to do this podcast, but we just be zigging and zagging. And by me working, by me the pop-up salesman like he used to be, I'm always trying to run a bliss on the crowd. I got people now call me and tell me where people going to be at, you know? Because they know I'm always selling things, and I'm glad I reached the
You might want to
point.
let them know what you be selling. I know you got some badass mugs.
I wish I would have brought them in because you had told me to send a picture of them
Yeah, man.
and things. But you can find me on Instagram, Jessie K 711, and social media under my name. I'm on all the social media sites, you know. So, but anyway, man, let me get on.
Go down and take care of your business, bro. And I appreciate you coming, bro.
All right,
You
bro.
know, look, y'all, I'm telling y'all, this just an iota of his story, bro. He got a lot more story to tell, bro. I'm telling you, that's just a little piece of it. You know, so we're gonna do a part 2 of this thing coming soon. You heard me? But thank y'all for viewing and thank y'all for watching. You know, and y'all go on Jessica's page and and buy something from the brother. You know, help him stay legit, man.
And you can hit me online. Like I tell people, everywhere I be, I used to hustle wrong in them streets. Now I hustle right. You know.
Yeah, help him stay legit. You know. Thank you for coming, Jesse,
All right,
again,
bro.
man.
Be
and
safe.
thank y'all for viewing. This was Addiction with OG Loesch. You heard me?